Hello, influencers. I'm not using that word lightly because you are influencers, whether you like it or not. Throughout the world, education departments have a code of conduct that is expected from teachers, and this includes an interpretation of professionalism. In our work, professionalism is very important. We speak about the expectation of professional behaviors from teachers. But we seldom stop to ask ourselves what that actually means and the reason that it is so important. Findings from the South African Human Sciences Research Council reveal that 60% of South African children have absent fathers, and that 40% of South African mothers are single parents. These figures are staggering. Translated, it means that 6 out of 10 children come from single-parent families. Add to that the fact that many parents are not home during business hours, and when they do come home, there are all of the domestic chores to take care of. And then add the distractions of mobile phones, television, cooking, cleaning, preparing for the following day, and the burden of one-parent families. Parents are not always able to show children their best sides all of the time. This translates into a very important fact. Many of our children and adolescents spend more time in the company of their teachers than they do of their parents. At school, children spend many hours in the company of their teachers, and the focus is all on learning and relationship, without mobile phones or the television to intrude. This learning happens through the relationship. This often means that the strongest adult influence on young people comes directly from their teachers. This is the reason that our behavior comes under the spotlight, and that both our professionalism and our ways of being are of vital importance. There is another consideration too. Many of you are parents, but even if you're not, ask yourself this question. What kind of teacher would you like your child to have? Are you that kind of teacher? Suddenly, the way that we behave with and in front of children becomes crucial, because a role model models behavior, attitude, and ways of being, and an influencer influences. Research shows that our youth are more likely to find role models of the same gender. As teachers, we are much more than just keys that open the passages of knowledge. In the still growing awareness of the young ones in our care, we are also examples of who adults are, how adults behave, how adults treat each other, and how adults cope with conflict. This impacts on how we behave outside of school hours as well. We can't be one kind of person at school and a completely different kind of person on social media, because believe me, the learners will find you no matter how private you make your account. When we make the choice to be teachers, along with the reasons like loving children, each one of us wants to make a difference in as many ways as possible. Sometimes we actually know about the differences that we have made and are making, but sometimes we have no idea. One phrase or one action, be it negative or positive, could have a lasting effect on a child. It can alter the trajectory of an entire life, and we could never know. When I was in high school, I had spinal surgery when I was in my final year. Recovery time was 3 months, and I missed the 3rd term of school completely. I felt hopeless, and I gave up even thinking of planning ahead. On my behalf, the headmistress, Miss Mary Laurie, applied to a tertiary teacher education institution for me because she knew that more than anything else, I wanted to be a teacher. That changed my life completely and made a future possible for me. Many years later, I thanked her for that action, and you know what? She couldn't even remember doing it. My point in sharing that with you is that sometimes as teachers, we do things that seem unimportant at the time, but they may have huge consequences for the child somewhere along the line. And it is because of this that we have to acknowledge that we are watched, we are quoted, we are followed, and we are models of ways of being. I'm not going to give you a list of ideal behaviors and attitudes that children should have, because you know them well enough to write the book yourself. But I am going to remind you that as a role model and influencer, we should be modeling those behaviors. In too many cases, we are the only examples that children see. I'm in the process of compiling a video to show you a real-life example of the difference that one teacher can make in the lives of many, many people. I'm not sure that it'll be ready for the next video because I'm awaiting contributions from all over the world. But when you see that, you will be able to understand how the influence of one teacher spreads through her learners and continues spreading until it has reached more people than we can possibly know. In the meantime, remember that each time you deal with a class, each time you speak to a child, your words, your actions, and your attitudes are impactful. Every time you show respect, caring, understanding, or loving, you make a difference. Each time you behave in a professional way, you set an example. And you are influencing generations of human beings. After all, someone must have been Mandela's teacher. Take care and stay safe. I'll see you again.